Can we lend to someone that's not a US citizen or someone that's a foreign national? Well, the quick answer is yes, but there's a few things you need to be aware of. So these are going to fall into two separate categories. You're going to have people that are non-citizens that don't have a social security number, do not have permanent residency status. For those people, there's a 10% deduction to the loan to value, which basically means if we were able to loan 70% or 75% of loan to value, there would be a 10% deduction, which means it would be 65% loan to value. The other bucket we're talking about here is non-US citizens, but they actually have permanent residency or have a social security number. Then you can do 5% LTV reduction, so 5,000 or 5%, whichever is greater. There's a couple of other things you have to keep in mind. We have to have some type of verification of residency. So we need a utility bills, a driver's license, something like that, so that we can prove that residency if it's someone that is a non-US citizen. Just like with everything else, we don't allow power of attorney, meaning if you're the one that's going to be getting that loan, you're the one that's going to be responsible for it. You're the one that's going to sign. You can't tell someone else to go sign these papers for you and give them a power of attorney saying, hey, you can go sign these papers for me. And then your friend goes and does the closing and signs everything. That is not allowed. We also don't allow mobile notaries outside the United States. So if it's something where you're not in the States, the only exception to that is if it's on a military base and it is a US notary and you're on a military base because you're there on assignment, which doesn't happen very frequently. But the big thing is we're not going to let mobile notaries outside the United States actually do those closings. And if you don't live in the same state where that property is located, you are going to have a local representative that's there that's going to be helping to manage the rehab process and making sure the rehab gets done. We'll need the contact information for that local representative, and we'll be in touch with them as with yourself. So the short answer is yes, we can. It will be a 10% deduction if you don't have a social security number, a 5% deduction if you do have a social security number or permanent residency, 5% if you do have a social security number or permanent residency, or $5,000 or 5% down, whichever is greater. One of those two, it's an either or. You've got to verify your residency, so utility bill, driver's license, those things. You can't use a power of attorney. Mobile notaries are not allowed outside the United States, and borrowers who are, if you're not located in the same state where you're doing that, you'll have to have a local representative. And if that's the case, yes, we can lend to non-US citizens or foreign nationals.